Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We are with Astrology Victoria. I'm one of your hosts, Dulcie, and this is
Tatiana. So as usual, welcome everyone. And we're going to have, what are we having today, Dulcie, for our awesome viewers?
Yeah, we're going to do a short series on the month of December. So the first video will be the first week of December, and there will be 3 more videos afterwards with each week of the month.
That way you get every week what you need to ride the energy, ride the weather, and see in your chart how it might affect you and what decisions you can make with your astro weather. Okay, let's move on then for the content. Or is there anything you want to do? Announcements for now? Any announcements?
Oh, good. I think we can just jump right into December. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great.
Yeah. All right. Let's see.
So December, of course, we are entering, or we are in Sagittarius season at this moment. So it's a very different feel. And because we have come from the Scorpio season with all this shedding, is the composting, then Sagittarius always brings this opening towards more freedom, more purpose, more beingness. And this Sagittarius season is quite particular because we come from one eclipse, the lunar eclipse, and we're going to have a solar eclipse. And all this is, as we talked in other videos, is these eclipse points are like release, moving to the new portal, and keep moving your life, evolving. So should we look at the Sagittarius image?
Definitely.
A little
Week 1 of December. And this is an image created by Tatiana. She's made an image for each of the signs of the zodiac. So this is for the sign of Sagittarius.
If you do like these images, there you can get some very awesome prints of these images in different things like mugs and t-shirts. Again, that was the announcement. You can click on the links below to find it in the store where you can find these awesome images. Okay, with that aside, the merch aside, let's go into the energy of this archetype. So the Sagittarius season points us towards meaning, towards freedom. And when I say meaning, is what is true for you? What are your values, the value systems that make your life what it is and that gives you meaning and purpose? Essentially, is that little, all the way back there's the centaur, like the half horse just running in the pastures with the archer pointing towards the beyond, what's beyond. And that's what Sagittarius always opens those windows. That's why it's related to adventure. It's related to the beyond, to everything that we don't necessarily see, but we can see far in the distance. There's some kind of aspect of luck and fortune with Sagittarius, hope, and kind of a happy-go-lucky vibe. Usually Sagittarius is like, life, it's an adventure. Let's just take it in with what is. And it's this permanent seeking for truth, higher truth. So it's not so much the knowledge we acquire with Gemini, where we want to have all this information. Sagittarius takes the information from its opposite polarity of Gemini and brings it into what makes sense for each person that they're going to enact as their truth, their personal truth. And it rules over belief systems and natural law, like karmic law, or something that's more related to something that's beyond, that's not like what we decide, but we connect to, that seems true. So that's a little bit of the overview of the raw energy of Sagittarius. So Dulcie, would you like to add something to this energy?
No, not really. I like that you talked about the shift from moving from Scorpio to Sagittarius, because it's a significant change. It's kind of from the scorpionic energy of endings and maybe focusing on one thing very in depth. Sagittarius brings that open energy, that explorative energy, where we are ready to just kind of take on new things and see what we will find. So I really like this energy. I like Sag.
Yes, it's one of the most like kind of like relief energies of the zodiac. And because the zodiac moves, in order it moves yin yang, it moves cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable. The thing is like it keeps this constant rhythm. And this is what's beautiful. It's not, we never stay in one energy. We move always to the next level of things. And that's how we evolve. This is why it's evolution. And Sag always brings, once we've released, Sag brings the openings or the ideals, the things that we can point towards. Where are we going to just shoot that arrow to move forward with? So it gives us a new like, and it's a mutable sign. So it's like, okay, it's time to move. Move. Camp, move. All right, so let's move into our December 1st energy. What are we finding here, Dulcie? What are the first things that's like jump to mind?
Yeah, so right at the beginning of the month, we have a little bit of carryover from what was happening at the end of November. And so there's a bunch of different aspects that we can take a look at. The main ones that we have to of note are the Sun conjunct Mercury. Let's see, whoops. Sorry, guys, my mouse disappeared as usual. So Sun conjunct Mercury, here we go. And then the Mars trine Neptune. And of course, the sextiles are involved as well. We don't necessarily put as much importance into them for reporting for a weekly or monthly astrology video. But if you do want to take a look day to day, it's definitely good to take a look on any given day at the sextiles in your chart as well. You'll definitely feel them a little bit, kind of a helpful energy. But the more significant ones we find are the conjunctions, the oppositions, squares, and trines. So first of all, we wanted to focus on the Mercury and Sun-Mercury conjunction in Sagittarius.
And also look in your chart where you have these degrees, where you what house do you have Sagittarius in your chart, right? Because the bulk of the energy is going to be in that house for you. And also where you have where you have Pisces in your chart, where Neptune is acting. So that will give you an idea of what you have around the 9th, 10th degrees. If you have any planets that are being impacted of 9, 10 degrees of Sagittarius, and maybe a little bit before and after. No, you can stretch a little bit. And likewise with the 20 degrees of Pisces and Scorpio, that in your chart, if you have any planets there, you can relate to, oh, this is impacting this house and this planet for me particularly. Like, so you can go and do that with your own chart. But in general, let's talk about the general energy. So the Sun conjunct Mercury, Dulcie, and in Sagittarius, this is particular because it's a very vibrant energy, I would say.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of taking the mercurial energy of thinking and communicating and sort of your thought process and combining it with the Sun in Sagittarius. It's a day of really considering the wider perspective. And Mercury has a tendency to take things apart and really analyze a situation, whereas Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, is all about looking at the broad perspective and opening one's eyes to new horizons. So combining those two energies can give a really good understanding of a situation. You can both see from a broad perspective, but at the same time you can see all the details and you can notice those. So with the sun there as well, this is where you're focusing a lot of your energy. So depending on where this falls in your chart as well, that will give you a hint as to where you are considering these kind of philosophical ideals. But yeah, what would you say, Tatiana?
Yeah, this is a good time to think about who you are, to express your core identity, your purpose. It's like creative thinking. You know, when the sun also is linked to your sense of identity, and with in Sagittarius is identity and purpose. And we've been coming from a long time of like trying to find out what it is, how we fit in this world that's completely convoluted. So this is a time to really kind of get like, oh my gosh, this is me. This is what I believe. This is the new beliefs that are opening up. Again, we'll talk about that with the South Node, like old belief systems versus new possibilities and new identity that gives you purpose. And then you can go, yes, this is how I want to think of myself. So there might be this like new ways of thinking about yourself and speaking truth. Also Mercury, and it's spoken truth, but not like with sharp poignant words. It's like it's speaking truth from what you truly believe. So it's almost like a hopeful thing. It could be a little bit like like having faith in yourself, you know. Sagittarius is also faith. It's almost like having faith in what you are and who you are, in what you have chosen for yourself. So that's like one thing. And then we do have the Mars trine Neptune. For me, that energy at the same time is kind of like the spiritual warrior. Literally, you have Mars, the warrior, with Neptune, the great dissolver, the consciousness. And then there's this kind of beautiful trine energy of, for me, it's like whatever you're seeking as higher purpose, higher meaning that comes from other realms. And having Neptune, when is Neptune going? Neptune's going direct as well from its long retrograde. So it's almost like this energy, this spiritual energy, it can move forward. This could be presented in many ways, because even if it's a nice trine to action in how you enact your sense of purpose, your sense of direction, your spiritual values, it can also, Neptune always in its lower octave can be confusing, you know? So make sure that what you're fighting for, the values, you get also a grip onto how they can be realistically enacted and not just stay in kind of a big ideal. However, I think this energy is very hopeful. This is what I get. Is that amidst this difficulty of having that the square of Saturn to Uranus at the same time, getting closer and closer together, and starting to feel the tension between the desire for freedom, for personal freedom, versus the need to create sustainable structures that are societally cohesive, and having a lot of tension and you know, and then this energy of finally, what do you stand for? This is it. This is like, I stand for this, and I trust that I can move forward with this, with actual like action. Mars is very action oriented for sure. And so that's how I feel the energy of this beginning of month, the first week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. Do you want to say anything else about
the sextile of the sun to Saturn?
Mm-hmm.
I do feel that this is also an opportunity to reclaim yourself. You know, like your own authority. Like Saturn gives you structure, gives you sense of self, but a more structured sense of authority. And with that sextile to the sun, I feel is like if you have completely lost yourself, this is a time to reclaim yourself, and to almost like to, as much as you might be dreaming of something bigger, of a sense of personal truth or beliefs that you're adopting, that are more in accordance to your being. The sextile to Saturn gives that opportunity to be in your authority, to reclaim yourself, not to give the power away to others, or but to really be in your, well, this is me and I'm going to act from this place, and give yourself that. This is how I felt about that little.
Yeah. And those other sextiles, like with Venus and Mars, or Venus sextile Neptune, also helpful energies for perhaps Venus sextile Mars, having that balance between your own individuality and relatedness with others. So perhaps that being your authentic self is rewarded with acceptance from others. Or Venus sextile Neptune, you're appreciating others very much, or you're feeling you're feeling an empathy for others, and it's kind of that, I don't know, positive experience.
Yeah, like there's an opportunity for seeing beauty in everything, literally in everything. With Neptune, is like you can appreciate the beauty of a sunset, or the beauty of a leaf falling, or like a little kitten. I don't know, like everything, and then it's very beautiful energy to create artistically, to write a poem, to maybe the poem of your truth. That's a beautiful energy for like writing the poem that's titled like I am, and then that's an I am, I am, I believe, I create kind of poem. Saying that because if you're somebody that resonates with art and music and words, it's a beautiful time to bring that through you. Okay, so that's that. And then the eclipse. Okay, Dulcie, eclipse, and then we do have a square of Jupiter coming in too. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, we have a few other things happening at around the same time. So just this eclipse is not the only thing happening in the sky at that time.
It's a little.
So yeah, with the eclipse, with a solar eclipse, it's often about new doors opening. Where with the lunar eclipse, it's about what doors are closing, or what we need to let go of. And with the solar eclipse, it's more about what are we going towards. And with any eclipse, it's about change, faded change. It's these adjustments that are happening in our lives, regardless of what we do, they're going to be happening. So sometimes it can be a change that we are not looking forward to, and we can become kind of rigid and nervous about it, or we can accept the change and go with the flow. So with the solar eclipse in Sagittarius, we're kind of thinking about where we're going from here. What kind of new adventures are we going on? And this is the final eclipse happening, I believe, in Sagittarius. Is that right?
Yes, before the nodes change in Taurus and Scorpio axis. And we've been having this like for 2.5 years, and all eclipses happening in that Gemini Sagittarius axis. And this solar eclipse is touching the south node. So it's a south node eclipse as well, which to me it also points towards the beliefs or the ideals that we had previously that need to be recycled, so new beliefs can come into play, and then create a new reality based on those new beliefs. All of what happened through the last 2.5 years, roughly, has been shaking what we think about the worlds, with like the Gemini axis, like getting information from multiple perspectives, and then having our core beliefs of what we used to be or stand for, like so firmly, being questioned, so we can form the new set of beliefs that are going to move us into the new adventures of how we can create the next level of ourselves, the next level of our evolution. This is why when we, like Dulcie said, with the eclipses, there's this change, but the change is more like, are you in your path? You know, is this like where you're headed, or did you completely go away and then you have to be like put back on, you know? So when you're in tune and aligned with that, you feel it. And I have the sense that alignment is your mind, your thoughts, your words, your actions, and all coherent. So when you practice actual coherence, which is, what I'm thinking is what I'm actually saying and what I'm doing. Otherwise, when you're not coherent, what happens is we get lost when we're not coherent. So I'm getting this strong message that it's a very good time for getting coherent. You know, Sagittarius brings you back to, who am I and what do I stand for, and what is my own coherence that's creating my new experience within, you know, a broader sense, collective sense, personal sense. And you know, Sagittarius, we would say there's like this energy of crusade in the air a little bit, you know. So back in the day, we would just like go and I don't know, serve like a religion, and you would go and die for this. And what's happening now is we're deconstructing all these maybe older beliefs in certain very fixed things or ideals, and forming these new ones that are going to slowly replace, so we can move into a different experience altogether. This is how I feel these eclipses have been very powerful. And we won't have eclipses in Sagittarius Gemini for the next like 9 years. So this is it. This is the time to align and have that coherence within. This is how I feel this energy.
Yeah, there have been quite a few things happening, at least in our world, that are, well, the pandemic affected everybody, but things that have really been out of the norm, things that on a national or global perspective that are not necessarily how things normally function. So with those kinds of events happening, it's bound to kind of shake us a little bit and make us think differently about what reality is, what morality is, how we perceive the world, ourselves, our relationships, and yeah, just I don't want to get into politics, but just how we see other political perspectives. We can become either more rigid or more open and understanding of other people's perspectives.
Absolutely. I also sense like we do have like a slowly creeping in Jupiter squaring Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is kind of part of this energy and will carry on through the rest of the week. And that definitely has a little bit of that more cockier, crusade energy, or even like a little bit of self-aggrandizing, or that you can conquer anything, kind of energy. It's not like a negative energy, but it could be a little bit like, now I can do everything, and just could overshoot a mark. I always feel that with Jupiter and Mars, there might be so much energy of like believing that you can literally like take on the world. So a word of caution would be, yes, to fight for your beliefs, yes, to assert yourself, yes, to have this hopeful view, but moderate the energy you put into it, because it can like literally overshoot the mark. And we don't want that, because it could be a little bit self-aggrandized, like, okay, now I can do anything, basically. And sometimes you're also we're also not fragile, that's not the word, but Yeah, it's this kind of invincibility energy. And we're not necessarily always invincible.
Mm-hmm.
Saying like
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, that's what I wanted to say.
I've experienced this energy with you know, I'll have a day off from work or something, and so I'll think, oh, I can clean the whole house. I can declutter the whole house, and I'll start with one room and then just be done. Be tired. Like, I thought I could do the whole thing, and now I've taken everything out of place and I don't want to finish it all right now.
That's a perfect example. So whatever you're gonna take on as your new adventure, don't think you can do it all at once. Keep that step-by-step mindset of what is doable and what your energy can actually support. So you don't like overshoot the mark and then are like left with like, oh my gosh, like 3 million things in your plate that you couldn't really accomplish. Because Sagittarius, like the Jupiter that rules Sagittarius, for sure can have the big expanse of expansive energy. So yeah, just keep it, keep it again. I always say in these times it's interesting because this is the idealistic versus the realistic. Is so how can you have all this idealism and give it a tone of realism at the same time? Then that will be a little bit Saturn still there with Uranus kind of keeping things like in check, like I say. Keep things in check. Yeah, so moving on to December 7th, and this concludes our first week.
Yeah.
And this is where things might get a little bit foggy because we do have that Mars square Jupiter, I can do anything, but we also have the Mercury square Neptune. We have
I feel this as a kind of Mercury retrograde kind of energy.
Yeah, when Mercury squares Neptune, and I have that natally, so there could be a sense that, it could be easy to confuse your own fantasies with what's real, and your own fantasies are valid. Even your own mystical experiences are valid. It's not that it's not valid, is it just you and your own fantasy, your own delusion? Or is it something that it's real? So when we have Mercury Neptune, it's very important not to go for this big, it's not the time to sign on dotted lines either. This is like the Mercury retrograde. It's like things could be too good to be true. This is that kind of energy where things could seem so good to be true. And because we're in this I can accomplish anything energy, I can have anything energy, I can, have endless possibility with this coming on. Again, the call is to fact check everything, because with this energy, there can be such a big expansive, let's just jump into the water and swim. And then I'm just swimming, but I forgot that I don't know, I forgot the snorkel and I'm suddenly super deep part of the ocean. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? Right? So it's almost like being ready to jump into that expansive place, being ready to welcome anything that comes to you from other realms, from dreams, the dreams, right? The dreams can be very powerful at this time. Welcome all of that and filter. Filtering. This is a time to filter anything that, because people might say whatever, and then you're following somebody or you had a spiritual insight, and then, put it through the fact checker and through the filtering of reality check. So you don't end up wound up in some kind of completely delusional situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or overshoot a mark and then end up empty-handed at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would just say be aware of other people trying to mislead you, or even you accidentally trying to mislead others. Perhaps, withholding information, or, people not giving you the clear picture of what's going on.
These honest energy, you know, like well,
Definitely. Yeah, whether it's intentional or not, it's
yeah,
in the air.
and also, you know, this is also the aspect of naivete, being naive. And because I have this natally, I'm that kind of naive person that constantly gets like, oh, I trust everybody, and then boom, you know, I get like, it's like, yeah, it's not being naive, it's being, you know, a little bit more okay to your own self-delusion, or to or other people trying to, or maybe misleading you, again, not maybe, it could be unintentionally, but fact check, you know, this is not the time for verbal agreements, it's a time for, you know, if you say something, make sure it's written, make sure it's clear, otherwise it can get
Yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were some sort of, you know, technological breakdowns or something, you know, drops in Wi-Fi and miscommunications because of, you know, misunderstanding the time that we were supposed to meet or that kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's that, and we will have also Venus very soon conjoining Pluto, but we'll talk about that for the next week.
Definitely, that's like the entire month after.
A big piece of cake that you're gonna wanna like relish on. It's pretty big, so stay tuned for the next week. So anything else to kind of close a little bit this week of
I don't know. Just to mention about the Mars sextile Pluto, kind of a charging forward energy, maybe taking on a position of leadership. Just be careful that you're not overdoing it, or be aware of other people overdoing it. Whether, you know, overextending yourself or exerting your power too much, and maybe overstepping or stepping on other people's toes, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's more like it's a good action. It's a good action energy. Great week to start your action. Like once you find the ideas that you're like more aligned with, like it's a good week to kind of like start in them. There's hope. I feel with this energy a lot of hope amongst the craziness of what's going on.
Yeah, there's
what you believe.
There's an interesting mix of you know, hope and optimism with all the Sag energy, and then there's a lot of like Pluto energy at the same time. So yeah, that'll be an interesting thing to see play out.
Yep. Okay, everybody. So please feel free to share this video if you think this is valuable information, which we do. Please also like it. You know, it helps the algorithms so people find us, and subscribe to our channel. And we'll see you very soon for the next week.
Yeah. Thanks so much, everybody. And thanks, Tatiana. That was fun as usual. All right. We'll see you guys soon. Okay. Bye.